Okay, so the whole world of cannabis concentrates, it's just, it's constantly changing, isn't it? Like we're miles beyond where we started.
Oh, absolutely. And right now, solventless extraction is really grabbing the spotlight.
Yeah, especially things like hash rosin that focus on, purity and those amazing natural flavors. People are really paying attention.
For sure. And in places like Oregon, which is a real hub, you find these folks who aren't just making products, they're like true artists pushing things forward.
Which brings us perfectly to today's deep dive.
Exactly. We're looking into the work of Dammit Bobby, or Chris, a name that definitely rings a bell if you're serious about hash rosin.
Totally. And we've got some great stuff here. Interviews, articles, giving us a look at his background, his signature stuff, and the ripples he's making.
Yeah, the goal today is really to unpack what makes him so respected in this, pretty niche field.
And what his work means for you, especially if you're someone who really geeks out on the details of top-tier concentrates. Okay, let's dig in.
All right, so where did it all start for him? Well, there's this interview, maybe from 2022, 2023, at the Smoking Jacket event. It mentions his move to the Pacific Northwest. And the key thing is it wasn't about chasing fame or, clout, as they say.
Right.
It really came from a deep-seated passion for the actual craft.
That feels important, doesn't it? Starting from passion, not just opportunity, suggests a different kind of drive.
It really does. I mean, when you're genuinely fascinated by the process itself, you often get this, intense focus on detail.
Yeah, the kind you maybe don't get if it's purely a business move from day one.
Exactly. It hints at, a real long-term commitment to just learning and getting better.
And it seems like that passion really fueled his early development. The sources point to this really key time before the Dammit Bobby brand really took off.
Spot on. Before he was like, damn it, Bobby. He spent some really crucial years over at Archive Seed Bank.
Okay, Archive, huge name in genetics.
Huge. And his time there, it wasn't just about learning the how-to of extraction. It was like total immersion in elite cannabis genetics right from the source.
Wow.
So he got this incredible understanding of how different plants, different cultivars, express their resin. That's insight that, honestly, most extractors have to figure out the hard way, trial and error.
Ah, so he was right there, seeing how these amazing strains were being developed. That makes total sense. Knowing the genetics inside out before you even wash, that's a massive advantage for rosin.
Massive. And it looks like he definitely built on that foundation.
Yeah, the material says he basically leveraged that experience, those connections he made at Archive, to launch his own thing.
He did. And there's even a specific example that pops up early on, Oishii #7.
Oishii #7, heard of that one.
Yeah, described as a standout cultivar from that time. Sort of a Moonbow-dominant candy gas profile. It really kind of set the tone.
Okay, so building on that genetic knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about the actual rosin, the stuff that got people talking.
Yeah.
What are some of the signatures?
Well, first up, there's the Honey Bananas Ex Calimán cold-cured rosin. Even the name sounds interesting.
Honey bananas, Telemon. Yeah. What's it like?
The descriptions are pretty vivid. They talk about this beautiful, white amber color. And the texture juicy, but stable. That perfect consistency you look for in cold cure.
Right. Not too dry, not too runny.
Exactly. But the terps, that's the main event. It's this complex mix, honey nut, tropical banana, then this sort of melon funk, and just a hint of sweet gas in the background.
Oh, honey nut and bananas and melon funk.
Yeah.
That's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah, and it gets called a clean, dialed-in masterpiece. Collectors apparently love it, which tells you it's not just about getting you high, right?
No, it's about that whole sensory thing.
Yeah.
Capturing something specific and special from the plant.
Precisely. Very deliberate. Then, on the other hand, you've got truckin'. Sounds like a completely different vibe.
Truckin'. Okay. Different how?
Visually, it's described as absolutely white with a waxy sheen. So again, points to high purity. But the smell and taste, total opposite direction. Burnt rubber, sour chem, pine diesel. And then, interestingly, a little bit of that Moonbow candy sweetness still whispering in there.
Wow. Burnt rubber and pine diesel. But with candy. That's wild. How do those even work together?
It's fascinating, right? It's called a masterclass in capturing fuel-heavy strains with finesse.
So it shows he's not just a one-trick pony with the fruity stuff.
Yeah.
He can handle those heavy, gassy chemi profiles, too.
Exactly. It really demonstrates, serious range, mastery across different types of terps. which isn't easy.
And that mastery, it really shows up in the competition results, doesn't it? Especially with that Oishii #7 we mentioned.
Oh, yeah, that one made waves.
Right.
Genetically, it's a double Moonbow cross, a little bit of Malibu Cure cushion there, strong lineage.
Okay.
But winning first place People's Choice and second from the expert judges at the Smoking Jacket, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that means regular folks loved it, and the super knowledgeable judges respected the technique. Best of both worlds.
Totally. And the flavor description, how it swings from candied gas to like bright citrus zest and pine, suggests real complexity.
Something that keeps you interested.
Right. And the sources directly link that win to perfect wash and cure technique.
Ah, so it's not just the great starting material, it's the skill in the process.
Crucial. Maybe even more critical sometimes to really nail that top tier quality.
Which kind of leads us nicely into the awards list. It's pretty extensive, not just a flash in the pan.
No, definitely not. Consistent recognition. Let's see. There was early OMMP recognition.
Okay, local organ stuff.
Then Ego Clash 2019, first for Hash. Then Ego Clash again in 2021, another first for Hash, plus a third for LOH.
LOH, Live Organic Hash.
Yeah, Living Organic Hash, basically. Second for Rosin at the Seattle High Times Cup in 2019. First People's Choice Rosin at the Oregon Leaf Bowl.
Wow, okay, keep going.
Let's see. Second Rosin at the Smokin' Jacket 22. Fourth Rosin out in Barcelona at Ego Clash 23.
International recognition, too. Nice.
Yeah. And then most recently, first for LOH again in 2024, collaborating with Archive Oregon. It's quite the track record.
Seriously. That consistency across years, across different types of hash and rosin, different competitions, that says a lot.
It really does. Shows sustained excellence. And beyond winning things.
Yeah.
He's also judging them now. It mentions he's a judge for Masters of Rosin.
Okay, Masters Rosin. That's a pretty prestigious event, right? Being asked to judge there.
Huge. It basically signals, global recognition. He's seen as someone whose opinion matters, someone helping to actually set the standards worldwide for solventless.
So he's gone from competitor to standard setter. That's a big step.
Definitely. And his influence isn't just in the competition world. He's a major player in the scene, especially around Portland.
How so? Like, his stuff is available.
Oh, yeah. He's called a leading voice there. You see his work in live rosin carts, like through the Heights brand. And then his own boutique jars of rosin are, highly sought after across Oregon dispensaries.
Gotcha. Any specific examples?
Yeah. They mention a Ruby Grand X Grape Ape X Jungle Pie cart, tested at 71.1% THC. But the focus, like always with him, seems to be just as much on the flavor and the experience.
Makes sense. And it seems like other top names respect his skills, too.
Totally. There's this note about him being brought in by West Coast connoisseurs to wash their big flagship strain, Toad Venom.
Whoa. Being trusted with someone else's prized genetics like that, that's huge respect in that world.
It really is. Speaks volumes about his reputation for quality and, just skill.
The material also uses this phrase, from propane to terpenes. What's that getting at?
Yeah. That's kind of a cool way to summarize a big shift, both for him maybe and for extraction in general.
Okay.
Propane likely refers back to, older solvent-based methods. BHO, PHO.
Yeah.
Effective, yeah, but sometimes they can strip out the more delicate terpenes, the flavor compounds.
Right, the focus was maybe more just on THC potency back then.
Kind of. So the move to terpenes emphasizes this modern focus on preserving those volatile terps through solventless methods like hash rosin, because now we understand how much they contribute to the smell, the taste, and even the overall effect.
So his journey mirrors that industry evolution from maybe older techniques towards this super refined focus on flavor and aroma via solventless.
Seems like it. And the sources wrap up saying his reign isn't just hype. It's built on quality, legacy, and pure resin wizardry.
Resin wizardry, I like that. It definitely drives home the point that this isn't just marketing.
No, it sounds like it's grounded in consistent high-level skill and, deep knowledge built over time. Real substance.
So wrapping this all up,
Yeah.
the big takeaways seem pretty clear. It's this relentless dedication to quality, right?
Great.
Honed over years, starting from that genuine passion.
Absolutely, that's central. And his role in pushing standards for hash rosin, plus the sheer detail in those flavor profiles he creates, that really makes him stand out.
Yeah, that honey bananas description alone.
Right. And his journey, it really mirrors this bigger thing happening in cannabis, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This move towards appreciating the subtleties, the nuances of flavor and smell that you can only get with really skillful, solventless work.
It really makes you think, If one person can achieve this kind of recognition, this artistry, just by focusing purely on solventless and these intricate terps,
Yeah.
what else is coming down the pike for concentrates? What other refinements are possible? It feels like we're still just scratching the surface sometimes.
Totally. It makes you wonder what the next level of resin wizardry might look like, right?